Hey everyone, and welcome to the Private Plot Podcast, where we plug in and explore the intersection of privacy, human rights, technology, and democracy. I'm your host, Derek E. Silva, and today in the Private Podcast, I'm joined by Carlos Salas. Carlos is the engineering manager at NordLayer, formerly the NordVPN Teams product. I'm probably very familiar with that brand if you're in the space. Carlos's experience ranges from founding a fast-growing startup to working for a nonprofit developing an alternative to Starlink. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Good stuff. I know it's snowing for you, so hopefully your infrastructure where you live is fairly stable normally when these sorts of things happen, and hopefully we don't run into any issues. So, just in case, let's get started. Can you tell me a little bit about your technical journey and what inspired you to become a software developer?
Sure. Well, I started, I don't know, like 15 years ago, more or less, a little bit earlier than that. Um, when I was a kid, I started as almost all the engineers I know, just starting disassembling stuff, grabbing my dad's tools, start opening the VCR and the all the electronics that I could get my hands on. So I started actually on the electronic side, but then I realized that it was too expensive and I wouldn't want to wait for my birthday or Christmas to get more microcontrollers or to get more toys to play with. So I started, okay, well, what's the second best thing, at least for me right now? Okay, let's go into computers because you can do the same, create new things, but without any investment. You have a computer and you can start with that. So I started
Yeah.
doing a little bit of video games, and then when I started trying to uh, get some more like MMO RPGs stuff like that, I realized that people started attacking my computer, my server.
Oh,
So that's actually one of my first few interactions with the cybersecurity also. So then I started mixing both software and cybersecurity, and yeah, it took me where I am right now in a cybersecurity company.
yeah. Configuring a firewall is a little bit different than writing out Python or C++ code, but you're still building something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just curious. So that's actually a really common refrain from people getting started either as cybersecurity or software development. Like I got my hands on something physical and I started taking it apart. But I think based on something I read in your bio about getting a Nintendo Entertainment System, I'm guessing early on in your life and being super excited about it. Same with me. I was like 5 or 6 years old and I got a Nintendo and I was like, yes, this is the best thing ever. But just a little bit further on, like what was the first programming language you actually started to mess around with?
I started first with Java, actually, Java
Oh,
1.2. Java
whoa.
1.2.
Oh my God. What is why? Are you a masochist?
I mean, most of my career as a software developer was Java developer. So
Oh my
I
goodness.
started
You
with
are
1.2 and then 1.5, 6, 8, and
major respect. That is, it's usually most people I meet either they love Java or they're forced into it
yeah.
very reluctantly. And I know some people who were able to like move on to not Rust, Ruby on
Mm.
Rails, post Java when Ruby on Rails was taking off, and they were like so excited to stop coding in Java. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you love it, you love it. I know it's an incredibly powerful language. It's still around for a reason. But I think in terms of ease of use or ease of syntax and everything else, like understanding it's not the easiest to learn. Whereas like I'm like a Python fanboy. Like I can read Python or even PHP, and I understand what's happening. Java for me is does
It's very
not
obscure. Yeah.
compute. Literally does
Yeah.
not compute for me.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I also jumped from Java to Python, and I'm like,
Mm.
okay, this is another huge world. I love it. I don't want to go back. You know, 4 years, and I haven't go back to Java.
Oh, you have okay. So all right. So you're a convert as well.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So was it that that encounter with people trying to hack your World of Warcraft server what like really got you to start thinking more about cybersecurity and start to make that shift, or was there something else that happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was around the same time where Matrix movies were going out. So it was
Mm.
like, oh, that hackers are super cool, and oh my god, I got hacked. That's so cool. So I want to learn that too. I started with learning a little bit of Linux, Backtrack 4 back in the day,
Oh wow.
and then yes, going on that. I started also working for cybersecurity companies, ISPs, and so on. So that
Yeah.
was where
So
I started with cybersecurity.
you and I are definitely close in age, and we should hang out sometime. Because like that was basically college for me. College, I had a really good operating systems teacher, not professor, named Mike Costa, who loved to make really obscure jokes about Linux file permissions and things like that. Like it's the right, and we're like, what did he just say? It took us all about 2 minutes to realize it's the right, like writing something, right as in permission, and then right, like okay, you get it,
Correct.
and yeah, we're like, yeah, okay, no, that makes grammatical sense. Thanks a lot, English. Um, but yeah, and like I ended up installing, I think it was Mandrake Linux on my Sony Vaio laptop because those were really hot at the time, full time. No Windows, all Mandrake Linux as long as I could. That lasted for a few months, and then I had some games I wanted to play. That and wine was not nearly where it's at now, and so I had to kind of abandon that or go back to a dual boot system. But and yeah, the Matrix was I was really hardcore into my sysadmin and network admin program at Fanshawe College, but it helped. It helped
Yeah.
keep the inspiration alive. So going back to your World of Warcraft server real quick, like what practical steps were you actually taking then? Like what were you learning? Was it all firewalls? Were you like employing anti-cheat scripts to, on your server? Like what were you doing to help prevent these hackers and other jerks? I won't call them malicious, people just trying to mess around. What were you employing to help keep them away?
Well, first of all, I started with firewall, very simple firewall on my device. Of course, that wasn't going to stop all of them.
Right.
So then I went a little bit step further, and I put between me and my router, I put another router, and in that router I had a specialized partition where I had both honeypot and also firewall, like more in-depth firewall with routing exactly only to the server, only to the port, only to the like exactly this IPs will be able to access to this one, so
Oh,
on,
okay. Yeah.
and
So
packet
basically
packet
really made
routing
it
and so on.
permissioned.
Yep,
Okay, so
exactly,
unless somebody was able to spoof your IP address or get onto your network, they were not even able to connect to the server.
exactly, yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
it was
Ah,
mainly a toy. I mean, for me, it was just I was just learning. It wasn't supposed to be accessible for everyone, but it was. So I had to rely on some other methods and start learning by myself.
World of Warcraft servers were the early version of MongoDB databases.
Yeah,
It's like,
actually,
oh, I forgot to lock it down.
it was based on MySQL. I remember all the management of the server was in MySQL, creating characters and
Oh
so
wow.
on. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I'm saying like MongoDB for a few years there was the common one, was like,
yeah,
oh, another company forgot to lock down, forgot to change the admin password, or forgot to shut down other ports or whatever. And I'm like, guys, this is basic stuff. Like, please, for goodness sakes, at least change the default password on the super user, like on the root. Oh boy. Okay, before we get too nerdy here, let's move on. Um, so before you started working at NordLayer, you were working with a nonprofit developing an alternative to SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service. Can you tell us just a little bit about that organization and your role there during that time?
yeah. That organization is called. It was called before Internet en la Selva, which is translated to Internet in the Jungle,
Okay.
because the main use case, at least the first, it was to give internet access to certain communities in the middle of the Lacandon jungle,
Yeah.
because it's so completely surrounded by mountains, most of it. So there's no even like a 3G, 4G connectivity whatsoever. So there are communities living in the jungle, and well, we decided like, okay, maybe we should try to do something about it, try to give them access, because if they wanted to access something, especially now that this newer generation of banking solutions and so on, they require you to have a smartphone,
Yeah.
or a computer. If you don't have internet, you can't access your money or stuff like that. So we started by reusing some uh, weather balloons to
Okay.
start to going a little bit, like around 2 or 3 kilometers, almost you get into the where there's out of range of the mountains, and when we're replicating one to one the signal into a specific router that we build by ourselves, and that will be replicating the internet all over. And that was by use, like, I don't know, maybe few months, and then we decided to take it even further and to create temporary, at least, but some connectivity through satellite connection. We were using the ORCOM satellite communication system. I think it's Canadian, as far as I remember.
I think so. A
So
lot of them are.
yeah, so we were using that, but we were sending small vessels that were all going to all the way to the stratosphere, and it was
Wow.
replicating this communication, and it was serving also as a router. So practically, we were our own ISP on the stratosphere. So it was quite cool. We ended
That's
up
quite cool.
doing this proof of concept, but because of cost, yeah, very it wasn't very feasible. Yeah, but
Hmm.
this happened, I don't know, maybe 6 years before StartX started being a thing. So yeah, it was quite interesting to explore on that side.
Yeah, I guess similar to uh, I don't remember if it was Google or if it was Alphabet, but the balloon project that they were running, and Facebook had something similar with the drones. I think flying in the sky and trying to beam internet down to people in India and Sri Lanka and places like that. Um, yeah, SpaceX and I think OneWeb is still, I think, heading in this direction. Amazon, I know, wants to do something as well, and you know, decent connectivity is certainly better than no connectivity.
Yeah.
It would be nice if a nonprofit could find a way to make it feasible as well to hopefully keep the costs down. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting to watch from the sidelines to see these new ways of delivering internet potentially globally continue to pop up. That's cool. Okay, since then you moved on to NordLayer. Can you tell us a little bit about more about NordLayer, the what its missions are, the objectives, etc.?
Yeah, well, one of the main missions of NordLayer is to bring cybersecurity in a more like friendly way, because nowadays, if you go to the biggest vendors, I'm not going to say names, but a lot of people already are like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I kind of understand those physical devices that you need to a specific programming language to even start configuring them. Um, they're very expensive. They're very hard to implement. You need to be certified on them. You need to have a full team of cybersecurity specialists, network engineers, in order to have, like, I don't know, a site to site, or to maintain an office network. You need to
Right.
have a full rack of devices to be able to do that. But for example, then you leave the cybersecurity and the networking, uh, either to have them on the enterprise side, like huge companies only having them, or not having them at all, because a small company that, I don't know, 10, 20, even to up to 100 employees can't afford that type of infrastructure, can't afford to have a fully fledged network engineer team. So you left them without any protection, because especially, for example, the 2 years ago when the pandemic was in the middle of it. Everyone has to go work from home, and if you didn't have this type of like networking in your team with fully fledged routers, enterprise router, and so on,
Yeah.
you had only two options: either stop working and lose money, of course, or to open your whole network to everyone and just cross fingers and hope that no one will get in there. So yeah, it makes no sense for cybersecurity to be this on a high level that no one except super specialized engineers can do it.
Right.
So, for example, with NordLayer, you can give access to the control panel to human resources manager, and he or she can give access to all their teams, and they are going to be able to access only the HR servers because it's
Okay.
network segmented that way. You don't need a full sysadmin team to start giving access one by one or start implementing a huge thing in order to uh, connect, I don't know, your Salesforce with your sales team and with VPN and with, well, it gets out of control very fast. So the ease of use and the empowerment of the end user is what we are looking forward at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've done a lot of research. I did a lot of research in the past on software defined WANs, wide area networks for people who don't want to
Yeah.
play the acronym game. Software defined wide area networks, software defined networking in general. I was actually at the first Open Networking Foundation summit in at Stanford University back in 2010, 2011, somewhere around there, whenever it was. Um, Talking all about software defined networking. It's going to change everything, and it's kind of changed a few things. I don't think it's certainly it's not something we see day to day. It's that's a network admin level thing where they're implementing software defined VLANs or more easier to administer VLANs and things like that. But that's really cool. It's kind of like bringing that to the forefront and making it uh, uh, like like just signing up for a CRM system or signing up for an HR management system online and just making it super easy to administer, which is terrific. What separates NordLayer from other cybersecurity companies that are doing similar things?
Well, first of all, I will say, yeah, the ease of use.
Mhm.
NordLayer is more like, even I will say, plug and play. You just install the app, connect, and that's it. You're already connected with your site to site or something like that. It's very simple to use. Our support team is also very good in terms of response rate and also how we manage the support. Just like to give you an example, if a support ticket comes to our support team, they will just come over into a group chat that we have in, like, everyone in the companies in that group chat. Say, hey, this company have this issue, and everyone, even me, start like, hey, maybe you should say do this, you should do that. So even like the CTO is commenting on certain issues. So yeah, you have the best the support that you can get.
Cool. That's really cool. Um, NordLayer is part of the I don't remember the new name of the
Nord security
parent company.
and Nord
NordSec,
security.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So can you tell us? I'm sure once we say Nord Security or Nord VPN, I'm sure a lot of other people would be like, "Oh, those guys." But for any of those who are still uninitiated or maybe are not aware of your other offerings, can you tell us a little bit more about the other things that Nord has under its umbrella of products?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, yeah, NordVPN is one of the most well known. You can see them everywhere in YouTube, TV, and so on. It's
Yeah.
a business to customer VPN. Then there's also, for example, NordLayer, which is a business to business connectivity suite, connectivity provider. NordPass, which is a password and secret manager. It has a business to customer and business to business uh, side. So, for example, a business to business, you can start sharing um, certificate information as a secret, and you can push those secrets forwards to users or stuff like that. So, and you can
Okay.
also manage. They have this nice feature that you start putting your information there, and then it check that information against a lot of different databases that we have been collected in the few years, and it will tell you, hey, you know what? It was this password that you're using. It was in a data breach that, I don't know, Adobe
Mm.
had 5 years ago. You should change it, or yeah, it will tell you those things in real time.
Yeah,
And
that's definitely the thing. I get I'm at this point I'm signed up for emails from Have I Been Pwned, and it doesn't happen as often anymore. But and thankfully I've been using unique passwords, across my accounts for a long time. But yeah, that has happened a few times. Maybe only twice this year, I think, thankfully. And there've been passwords that like I can quickly update with my password manager. But yeah, it happens, and it's. I actually made a joke yesterday. Like we were talking about, I guess for people. No, that'll be this. I think will air before that one. So I made a joke in a podcast I recorded yesterday about like, does it just start with password managers? Like, if everybody had a password manager, things would be much better. It's not it doesn't solve everything, but it solves a lot of problems, and that got a good laugh from the panel. But like, it does. I don't care what at this point what people use. LastPass, One Password, NordPass, Bitwarden. Just pick one and start using it,
yeah,
and
it's
start
easy to use.
employing secure, unique passwords that nobody knows, including yourself. You remember one password for the password manager. Maybe you even secure it with Face ID or Touch ID or whatever else you have on your device, or fingerprint reader, because Touch ID is an Apple thing specifically. And then you're good to go. Like, you're much more secure in that situation. So that if your Yahoo email account gets password gets breached again, you have one password to change, not 50.
Yeah, and for example, with
Anyway,
WordPress, you can push it even from the administration side. Okay, this guy hacked one of his password. Boom, that's it.
oh, like
The
so
user
like the
doesn't even
sysadmin.
need to do. Yep, exactly.
Nice,
And
nice,
of course, NordLayer, which is uh, data encryption on REST and also cloud storage.
nice. So I guess similar to OneDrive or something like that from Microsoft.
Similar, yeah, but
Similar. Okay, not the same, I'm sure, but yeah,
not the same.
similar.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
On the same vein, yeah, on the same idea.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I understand. Not everybody wants to pay for some of these capabilities, but um, not everything can be free, right? You want people to maintain these products regardless of whether they are open source or not open source, and that means somebody needs to be incentivized to do that, because it can't always be altruistic incentivization. Um, some more emerging threats around cryptojacking and blockchain vulnerabilities, and that these range from front end related or even social engineering attacks, where people are getting NFTs stolen because they authorized a fake version of a smart contract or a scam version of a smart contract to sell an NFT, and in fact, what it's going to do is just swipe it from your wallet,
Yeah.
to deeper, more protocol level vulnerabilities. Um, is Nord playing in that area at all yet? And whether or not you are, how do businesses protect against these sorts of things?
Well, Nord is not directly protecting blockchain technologies because of the nature of blockchain. It's this completely distributed workload, so it's not directly, but on each node, you actually will need to have some type of secure connectivity, of course, and also your data should be encrypted. If you have your wallet on your device, of course, you will need to encrypt the whole thing because if not, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
A simple malware, they will get your wallet, and that's it. You're done for. So yeah, we protect on that side. As a layer on top of blockchain technologies. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's a very common practice nowadays, cryptojacking, which for the people that don't know what cryptojacking is just let's call it a fancy way of phishing where the main objective is to swipe some uh, private keys in order to get into a wallet, or
Right.
in order, yeah, accepting a contract on your wallet in order to give access to an attacker to do that. So yeah, by nature, blockchain is quite safe most of the time, because it will replicate, and if one of the nodes is not compliant, it will get just shut out, and that's it. But there have been cases where the main node controller, gets breached. So once you get the main node controller breached, you can access to the whole thing, and you can siphon money. You can siphon a lot of things from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, if, for example, if you have a encrypted tunnel that is going directly into your developers, and like secured by location, secured by IP allo listing, secured by a lot of like firewall and so on, firewall as a service, you can prevent this main node to be breached. And actually, that's one of the main things that they have learned. The blockchain community have learned in the past few years.
Yeah, most of the issues. I mean, a smart contract vulnerability is a smart contract vulnerability. You know, you and I, and unless NordSec starts a smart contract auditing team, which should be very
Yeah.
expensive to do at this point, you know, you're not going to be able to help protect against that sort of stuff. But anything to help protect you at the application layer, right, or the
The
literal
device
physical
level. Mhm.
touch layer, yeah, the device layer, where you are interacting with potentially a fraudulent smart contract or website or what have you. Um, you know, that's the best thing you can do, and you know, and that's it was incredibly esoteric and obscure at first. You know, every transaction looked the same and nobody knew how to read them. And thankfully, things have really come along mostly on the front end. You know,
Yeah.
MetaMask and Coinbase Wallet and Trust Wallet all show you much better data about what you're about to approve or what you're about to allow uh, um, the blockchain, the smart contract, to do with your tokens or whatever. My favorite thing is actually signing messages, because that's you can be really verbose in a message and tell the user exactly what's going to happen. Um, so yeah, and yeah, anything we can continue to do there to make the user interface easier and more secure is a benefit for everybody. What about when it comes down to, I mean, not crypto jacking, ransomware attacks? You know, we have. No, I'll put it this way instead. What's the difference between um, oh, okay. Three different types of ransomware: non-encrypting, encrypting, and leaking. Can you explain some of the differences there? I'm actually these are I've never heard of non-encrypting or leaking ransomware myself, so this would be interesting for me too.
Yeah, practically non-encrypting. It's kind of like a scam type of ransomware. It was very common back in, like, I don't know, 2015. It came back in 2020 when everyone's were working from home. Um, it's malware that gets installed in your computer. It doesn't encrypt anything, but it redirects any type of like DNS request that you do, redirected to a fake page. It could be FBI web page, it could be bank web
Oh,
page, and so on, saying like, "Hey, your computer has been used for malicious activity. We are tracking this, and if you don't send this amount of money, we are going to go directly into your home and blah 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 blah."
yeah,
And actually, it worked a few times. It started working, and there was even a very fun anecdote that I heard, that one guy that was, yeah, just installing some stuff and got this type of malware, this ransomware. An FBI page appeared on his screen and said, "Hey, we are aware that you have let's call it forbidden pornography. So we are tracking you. You should make this money." So he went to the police station like, "Hey, they sent me this. Okay, let me check. Ah, you actually have forbidden pornography." So yeah, he got caught because of that. So
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. It was actually good for. Okay, yeah, okay, his ransomware is bad, but good. Nice hacker. Yeah, exactly. It's one of the most common ones. For example, yeah, there was this big hack on some oil
Oh
tubes,
yeah, the
oil
oil
transit
pipeline.
tubes, oil pipeline in Texas a few years ago. There was fuel shortages, and it was very, very bad. So this, I think that time it was WannaCry ransomware, but that's actually one of the most common ones. There are thousands of them, and well, yeah, no one is it's exempt, because some people are like, I mean, I'm not a company, I'm just a single person, no one will hack me, no one will send me ransomware. But it's just like with crime families, mafias, and cartels. Of course, they're like the huge big mafias that will only reach into big companies, but there's also the low tier cyber criminals that will get, if they can get $10, they will be happy about it. So
Yeah.
is no one is exempt on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm actually starting to think of a new like full backup service because I'm using one right now that only backs up like my documents folder. And I'm like, that's really useful. That's almost everything, but it still means I need to go through the whole process of restoring my device and reinstalling all the updates and all this other stuff. Whereas I'd rather just, if I can, restore back to 2 hours ago before I got this malware. But yeah, I'll leave that for another time. And what about leaking malware or
Yeah,
ransomware? Sorry.
ransomware practically is the one that they don't encrypt your device, but they stole the information from it, and then they ask for a
Mm,
ransom in order not to sending over media or sending over to people that you don't want to be reached. It could be as simple as I have your private conversation. I'm going to send it to your wife. Okay, yeah, here you go, my money. And there's like, it could be as bad as, for example, hey, I got into this hospital database. I have all the clinical information of all your patients. If you don't pay, I will send it to the media, or I'm going to start selling it to the deep web. So
I mean, if you want to send my current conversations to my ex-wife, she probably won't be happy about it, but I don't think she's going to care much, thankfully. um, yeah, so we're coming up to time here. I want to make sure we get a couple more questions in. What do you see as the most common cybersecurity mistakes that companies or even individuals continue to make these days?
the lack of cybersecurity awareness is one of the main issues that everyone, me including sometimes, are uh, like like having that a wrong side. Because, for example, if you are working in a company and you have the best firewalls, you have the best uh, I don't know, DPI, deep packet inspection, and IAM, and everything is secure. But when someone is trying to get into the door, not, I don't know, someone came over with two copies. Hey, could you please open for me? Oh, yeah, sure. And you're letting in an actually malicious actor into your company. So this is part of cybersecurity 101.
Yeah,
And for example, the basic ones also, don't open emails that you don't know who they're sending, who, yeah, don't click on links that anyone sends you, don't mix your personal leisure computer with your work computer. Um, those,
I do that all the time. I have one
yeah,
very expensive MacBook Pro, and that's it. But that's all I can do. Now I do have a little Intel NUC behind my laptop here that runs Windows and Linux dual boot so that I can do other stuff. But I mean, I can only afford so much hardware.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yes, I
exactly.
mean the average person, like if you're working from home these days and permanently or even half time, work should be giving you a laptop. Your employer should be giving you a work laptop. That's the one you use for work, 100%.
And in case it's not possible, for example, if you're a contractor, they're not going to ship you a computer all the way to Bali because you're working as a contractor from there.
Right.
So what they can do is that they create policies, and they create an policy both on your device as device security posture, and also on the compute on the server side. So this person is going to be reaching with using this specific account by this specific IP, and so on and so on and so on. So you need to secure as much as possible, but it's possible to have this bring your own device type of solutions if
Yeah.
you put them like correctly.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. There are lots of really inexpensive BYOD, device management solutions these days, or mobile device management that, yeah, you can employ. And I think most modern versions of Android actually allow you to swap back and forth between like a personal profile and a work profile. I
Yep.
can't, unfortunately, on my iPhone, but that's, if you can employ that, then use it. Why not? Um, cool. And to wrap this up, what can we expect to see from NordLayer in 2023? What do you guys? Is there anything you could talk about that you guys are working on right now, or the types of features you want to add to the platform?
Yes, in the first few quarters of 2023, we are going to be releasing Firewall as a Service, fully fledged
Hmm,
Firewall as a Service, which is going to be quite good. You don't need to go directly into your router just to put some extra rules and then manage it by yourself there. You can manage it centrally. And the same place you're managing your teams and you're managing your connectivity side to side and so on. So it's actually going to be quite a cool feature to have. And
cool.
a lot of other things that we are working on. But yeah, later on, you will be seeing it on nordlayer.com.
Good stuff. Does does NordLayer work, in your opinion, for like fully distributed teams, like even Orchid? There's no server room, there's no central data center. It's there's infrastructure at cloud computing providers, and then basically everything else is SaaS. Like, is it employable or usable in that sort of situation, or is NordLayer really designed for um, that place where you would need traditionally like a VPN hardware at the office, and like everybody's connecting to that VPN device and then accessing internal resources?
Actually, it's architecture agnostic and vendor agnostic, NordLayer. So, for
Okay.
example, you can have fully remote workforce that are connecting directly into a private gateway, and that private gateway has a dedicated IP that is allow list in your cloud vendor. So you
Right.
have everything is encrypted on the transit, and you can
Okay.
reach securely into your cloud. But also, it is possible to have it on top of legacy solutions. You have very old routing systems on your enterprise rack, and you want to keep them there because you already did a very big investment on it. You can have NordLayer on top of it, and it will still work.
Terrific. Good stuff. So it definitely makes it really flexible. Carlos, thank you very much for your time. If people want to learn more about NordLayer, where should they go?
They can find us on nordlayer.com, and in LinkedIn, you can look for NordLayer, and we will be happy to answer any of your questions there.
Okay. Are you active on any social media sites? Maybe if people want to follow you and see what sorts of things you're saying.
Yeah, mainly on LinkedIn. I always post a
Okay.
lot of very interesting stuff there. So yeah, make sure to follow.
Okay, good stuff. I might need to use more LinkedIn these days since Twitter seems to be in absolute
Yeah.
shambles at the moment. Carlos, thank you very much for your time, and for everybody listening or watching. Until next time, stay free.